Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Day 23. Day 23. Let's do something this morning that we've not done yet in this series. Let's look forward. I've spent the majority of the last 23 days focusing on what this work honestly is behind us. And a lot of this work is really something that does live behind us. The excavation, the inventory, the naming of what was built from other people's needs, and the gentle dismantling of what was never actually yours, but yet it sometimes doesn't feel very gentle, right? The grief, the forgiveness, the honesty about who we were performing and who we actually are. See, all of that was necessary. All of it is the foundation, the bedrock upon which everything else stands. But there comes a moment where, and I believe that's where we are today, where the question shifts, where it's no longer primarily about what you've been healing from, but about what you're building toward. Now, I have an entire mindset in my teaching about being here, not longing for there, because when we get there, if we're always longing for the there, we're not here. I want you to think about what you're building toward. That shift is its own kind of hall moment, a opportunity to understand in great honesty that aligns the language of liberation. But there's a difference between recovering and building and growing. Recovering and building are different activities with different energies, different orientations. One, recovering, is oriented toward the past. It references the wound. It measures progress in terms of distance from the thing that had happened. Oh, look how much better I am than I was. Look how much better it feels than it did. How far have I come from the hardest moment, right? Recovering is necessary, and we talked about that at length. You can't build on unhealed ground, but recovering as a permanent posture is just another mask, right? Making the wound the permanent reference point, organizing all subsequent life around the distance from the damage. That is not freedom. It's a different type of bondage. It's captivity to the very thing you survived. Building is oriented toward the future. It references a vision, a story untold, a story unimaginable but now seen. It measures progress in terms of distance towards something rather than distance from something. What am I creating? What am I moving toward? What is coming into existence that wasn't there before? The moment you shift from recovering to building, the moment the wound stops being the primary reference point and the vision starts being the primary reference point, something opens in your energy that was not available before. Because building requires a different kind of fuel, right? Recovering runs on the need to not go back. But building runs on the pull of what you are creating. And the pull of the created thing is, in my experience, a much more sustainable and generative source of motivation than the push of the thing you're trying to leave. So let me be specific about what building after the fire actually looks like, okay? It looks like making choices based on what serves the life you're creating rather than what manages the pain you survived. Two completely different criteria for decision making. It looks like developing skills and capacities, not as a form of proving yourself. This is not a performance, but as a genuine investment in the person you're becoming, the person that you are, the person that you are revealing, the person you are amplifying, and the contribution you're moving toward. It's like relationships are chosen because they nourish the real self and the real direction rather than relationships maintained because leaving them would mean confronting more loss. It looks like a relationship to the future that is characterized by genuine anticipation rather than managed anxiety, where you're leaning into what's coming because you have enough self-knowledge and stability to trust that you can handle what arrives, and enough vision to be genuinely drawn toward it. This is what I am building right now, not what I'm recovering from. I want to be very clear about that distinction. What I'm building toward. I'm building a integrated coaching practice and a framework that I've already put together that gives people what I wish I had had, a language for their own freedom, a map to their own inner space, and a companion for the excavation at a level of quality and depth and genuine care that I've spent years developing. I'm building a relationship with my children that is based on who I actually am rather than who I was performing. And that gives them a father who is genuinely present rather than functionally available. I'm building a body of work, this series is part of it, that will outlast any particular hard season. It will exist in the lives of people that I've never met, contributing something real and lasting to the quality of their freedom. And I'm building day by day, morning by morning, the true part of myself that is most fully who I was always meant to be, who I've always been deep down. Not a project that has completion date, not a better version, an ongoing, living, daily practice of becoming more completely myself. And that is the most exciting thing I know how to do. That is what gets me up in the morning, not just with willingness, but genuine embodied anticipation. That is the building life, the creating life. And it's available to everyone and to anyone on the other side of the excavation. Remember, honesty aligns liberation language. The hall moment of building is the moment you realize you are no longer primarily defined by what you survived. Matter of fact, not defined by what you survived. The honesty is, I'm not the sum of what happened to me. I'm not the wound. I'm not the loss. I'm not the hard season. I am the person who walked through all of that and is standing on the other side with a life to build and the capacity to build it. And when that honesty lands, something aligns within the specific energy of genuine forward momentum. And the language that forms is not the language of recovery or survival. It's the language of vision, of intention, of the future as something you're actively participating in and building and creating. That language feels in the body like possibility, like power, like aliveness, like the specific sensation of being genuinely oriented towards something rather than just away from something. Remember, we are not free from, we are free for. And that is the building life. So here is your invitation today. Name one thing that you are building, not recovering from, building toward. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be complete or clear or fully formed. It just has to be real. Is it a relationship, a practice, a body of work, a version of yourself, a skill, a contribution? Name it. Speak it out loud if you can, even just to yourself, because the building life begins the moment the vision becomes real enough to say it. Day 23, the last third of this series, and we are building already, right? So tomorrow, the testimony is the teaching. Why your story, lived honestly, is the most powerful thing you will ever offer. And why my story needs to be told, just like yours. So be well.